A few times each year I walk, well drive, round the Badminton cross-country course with course designer Hugh Thomas as part of my tasks in recreating the course for the website. And each year Hugh plays the caveat of, it's never finalised until the technical delegates visit. For Badminton 2011, the technical delegate is Eric Winter, a man very much in the news at the moment, having taken over as course designer at Blenheim Horse Trials and recently appointed as BE's training coordinator. He will be ably assisted by Giuseppe Della Casa, who has previously acted as the TD at Badminton. It's early March at Badminton and the course builders have been here for some time now. The course itself is getting some TLC with plenty of aeration. The grass has had its first cut this week, and the only animals allowed on the course have been the occasional deer, who after all live here. All of this makes for heavenly going, something continuously referred to throughout the technical delegate's inspection. The technical delegate's role has always been something of a mystery to me, and no doubt to many others. It's a role that seems to have significant influence, so my mission this year was to discover what this role was all about. Having seen some crib notes from a TD friend in Australia, I had expected Eric and Giuseppe to turn up armed with tape measures, spirit levels, notepads, pencils, ready to challenge the badminton course in relation to the rules. Nothing could have been further from the truth. It can also sometimes be overlooked that the cross-country course is still classed as a test, and as we walk around the course the term test is used quite often. As we set off, Hugh Thomas explains which fences are structurally finished and which are still work in progress. The first 3 fences require little discussion and no measuring, as they've been used at Badminton for many years without issue and involve no related distances. When we reach fences 4 and 5, the first fences with related distances and requiring some careful riding, both Eric and Giuseppe are off striding out the approaches as any rider would, and an informal discussion ensues about the undulations in the ground, which routes riders might take, etc. There is, however, at this point no measuring of heights. The discussion continues at the next fence with Giuseppe reflecting on how this fence worked 2 years ago and what might be changed to improve the softer alternative. I'm beginning to realise that getting the Badminton cross-country course finished is something of a team effort, something Hugh Thomas was very quick to point out.
Well, I'm absolutely happy that as a course designer I'll design the course, and that's all fine, but I don't want to ever be too precious about it, and I really do want experienced and intelligent and knowledgeable people to help and contribute to the end result. And in the end, sometimes you do have a dispute with technical delegates or whatever, and that's fine, there's no point getting uptight about it. It's certainly no good having committees of 10 and 20 people walking around and advising on a course, but if you've got 2 or 3 people and have intelligent and positive discussions, you nearly always get a much better result at the end of the day.
The technical delegate's job was now starting to sound more interesting. After a pause at the corral to view the general position of the fences and the pinning method to be employed, we made our way past the shooting button onto the old hollow. This fence has a number of egg-shaped obstacles that were used in the sunken road previously, and here there was plenty of discussion, not necessarily about the rules, but is this a good test at this stage of the course at 4-star level? And is there something that could be done to improve it? Time to ask a few questions and get a little more understanding of the job in hand. So I'm assuming that the technical delegate's job mostly revolves around checking FEI rules are adhered to and safety. Is there anything else that the general
basically the structure of the event, how the event's going to run at the lower levels, very much to do with medical services and to make sure that everything that you need to run a safe and good sporting day is in place.
Yep.
At the higher levels, there's obviously a certain amount of that, but you hope that a certain amount of that is taken care of by the organising committee. So then it becomes more a bouncing board for ideas on the cross-country course, and how that course might work with the relevant levels of horses running.
Yep. So you two have been technical delegates for a number of years now, old hands at it.
No. Giuseppe is definitely.
In this way, I'm a bit an older hand.
Yeah. I've come from course designing, and this would only be my 4th job as a technical delegate.
Right.
But I've done a lot of course designing. I do a lot of technical advising, which is the same role within the UK.
Yeah.
And the FEI have a very good scheme, which has sort of allowed me to be technical delegate with somebody as experienced as Giuseppe behind me to hopefully sort of help me through.
Yep.
Whoops.
And a man in demand. I noticed, on this particular fence, there's been quite a lot of discussion. What is it when you're coming here for this day? What is it you're particularly looking at and looking for?
To me, all the facets that make up the course. So that goes with the balance of the course. That the level of the fences are consistent with the level that you want for four-star competition. That it's not a really easy run round because it's a true championship competition. But also that the horses come out of that with a really good experience and enjoy the experience of running round, and that you make better horses for the course that you've jumped.
Right. So things like the rules, how high things are.
Yep.
Do you leave that until sort of, event week or something, do you?
Yeah, I mean, with an event like this, to me, you have very good course builders, and they would do a little bit of that. But yeah, on event week we fill out forms for every fence with the heights and dimensions of those fences.
I take it you, Giuseppe, you've sort of done this sort of job abroad quite a lot. Then.
Yes.
And do you find that there's a lot of variation between, course design and course building from country to country?
Yes, I think that is the fascinating part of the sport, international sport, is actually that we share the horses, we share the system, but at the end everybody puts his own flower. And actually this is an outdoor sport, where so the surroundings change dramatically. So you actually have a cross-country course on a flat piece of land or on very hilly kind of ground, and it can change near a city in the middle of the country. So I must say, yes, the footing changes, the surroundings. That I think is a great part of our sport.
Varies very much, even within the UK. If you go from one event to another with different course designers and different course builders, then the feel of that event will be very different. And anywhere in the country, not just in the world, sort of thing. One event and then another event 10 miles down the road can have a completely different feel, depending on who's the organising committee and what they want to do, and who's the course designer.
So I mean, here in the UK, I always feel that we're a bit sort of spoilt with the amount of eventing that we have, and the sort of the quality and diversity of the courses we have here. But what other countries do you both sort of really enjoy eventing from?
Well, but surely here is the home of eventing, and we all know that. But if you go in Europe, if you go in France, there is a lot of eventing. In Germany, there's quite a lot. And then there are countries that have very few events, but still they have characteristics, special kind of places, special times in the year. Now there are already events that are happening in Portugal. You were in Portugal.
Yeah, I was in Portugal last week, and I was in Hong Kong a fortnight ago. And I see one star track, which is at Sha-Tin Racecourse, which is in the middle of the city.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's that really brings a different characteristic to it, because you have to use a certain amount of the racecourse, and you can't go off site because there's it's a public park, and there's big concrete lakes, and it's very much surrounded by high-rise buildings. So that's a completely different situation again.
No, exactly. So what's the worst bit of your job then, as a technical delegate? Is it the report writing? Is it telling people off? You love it?
Yeah, I do really. Yeah, it's really sad, but no, I really enjoy it. I love the best bit of it is the teamwork.
Yeah.
I think without a doubt, for me, the best bit of it is that building the relationship between you and the course designer and the organizer and committee and the builder, and and getting to know those teams and getting everybody going in the direction that makes the event better for that. And I love that side of it. The worst bit is probably the walks in the rain.
Yes.
The bank at Badminton has always been a personal frightener. As Hugh mentioned, it's not one that causes many issues, apart from the occasional stop on top. However, you don't see many 1 metre 20 banks around. Risk management and frangible pinning is discussed quite a bit throughout the day, and indeed one fence down on the vicarage ditch is to be repositioned. As all three officials agree, it would improve risk management. The rest of the vicarage field section is dealt with little comment other than there had been hope of seeing more open corners used on other courses around the UK. Onto the lake across the vast expanse of manicured grassland in front of the house, and a chance to find out a little bit more about the background of our technical delegate and his assistant. It seems Giuseppe has been reducing the pace of his equestrian exploits over the years. He started in racing, moved to eventing, and is now show jumping, but assures me he has no plans as yet to move to dressage. Eric has some form at badminton. Here's how he describes that. So Eric, you've ridden round badminton a few times?
Yeah, 90 and 91.
All right.
Yeah, so a long time ago now.
Tell us about that.
Well, the first time my challenge ended here at the water, over the white rails, and the horse sort of fell in the water. And the next time I jumped round for one refusal at the bottom of the Beaufort staircase.
All right. So. And fond memories of badminton?
Oh, undoubtedly. Yeah. I mean, we're not that far from here, so I've been here since I was about sort of 10 or 11. Initial riding, initial experience of eventing was here.
Right.
The first time I ever came to an event was badminton.
Yeah. And any plans to make a comeback? Seems to be a lot of comebacks at the moment.
We shall see. I've got a novice horse that's going quite well at the moment. I have an advanced horse, but I don't think that's going to make it. But so we shall see. Keep trying. But I'm probably getting a bit old now.
More discussion is held regarding the first element of the sunken road, as we come across Alan and James Willis, the course builders, who are soon enlisted to help. Whilst this is Eric's first time at badminton in the TD role, he is very familiar with its layout and course. At Huntsman's Close, Hugh starts to explain the test he has set out for the riders here and the changes he has made.
Another jump. And then this is AB.
And then AB here.
So the idea is that from the white gate,
Yes.
you have to take a decision.
In or out.
Because
Then there is
this
that
will
line.
all
Yes.
be closed,
Okay.
where that big
Okay.
thing is,
Yes.
and all along.
So the first decision is already from there. So
So
if you go on that log, you're on the
If
long
you go on
route.
the long, then you're all the way round.
You're on the long route.
And you jump.
The quarry poses the last serious test of the course, and some bold riding needed over some sizable logs together with some steep drops. Once again, there is a very open and frank discussion on the fence complex, and it's now quite clear that these three roles, course designer, TD and assistant TD, are all working in harmony for what Hugh would describe as a positive outcome. I've come away from the day delighted and fascinated with what I've discovered about the TD role, but somewhat confused by the apparent shortage of available TDs. Yes, there is undoubtedly some boring paperwork to complete and numerous rules and safety lists to check off, but I can see that there's a lot of fun and satisfaction in performing the role of technical delegate. Far from being pencil pushers with tape measures and clipboards, Eric and Giuseppe have two of the best jobs in eventing. After all, how else would you get to influence the cross-country course of the world's greatest three-day event?